Number 51 is a problem where we're asked to take the derivative of y equals the square root of some stuff inside. So I would definitely take the time to rewrite this thing as the radicand, which is sine of x multiplied by cosine of x, and instead of a square root, we're going to take all that to the 1/2 power. I think that's going to be much easier to differentiate now because we can ask ourselves, what is the last or the outermost thing being done here in this problem? That would be the 1/2 power, and that should tell you that to take the derivative of y with respect to x, we're first going to have to worry about the power rule, which is going to put a 1/2 out in front. We keep the base of the exponent exactly the same as it was, sine of x times cosine of x, and we drop our exponent by 1. That's going to be a negative 1/2 power. So there's the power rule, but here we go. We now need to try to multiply that by the derivative of the base of that exponent. So that's where the chain rule comes into play. And to take the derivative of sine of x times cosine of x, we are going to need the product rule. So here we go. First factor is going to be the sine of x. Oh, and by the way, since the product rule always gives me a binomial, I think a bracket would be a good idea here. So here we go. First factor was sine of x times the derivative of the second. And the derivative of cosine of x is negative sine of x, so I better put that in parentheses so it doesn't look like sine of x minus sine of x. That's first factor times derivative of the second, plus the second factor, which is cosine of x, times the derivative of the first, and the derivative of sine of x is cosine of x. And that takes care of the derivative within. So calculus is done. What can we do to clean this up a little bit? Well, all right. I see a negative exponent right up there, guys. So that tells me that my answer is, in all likelihood, going to end up as a fraction. Okay, going in order, I've got a 1/2. That's going to put a 2 down in the denominator and potentially a 1 in the numerator, but I'm going to leave that out for right now. You'll see why in a second. Then I've got this quantity to the negative 1/2 power, which is going to be a square root in the denominator of sine of x multiplied by cosine of x. So that took care of that, and now I've got this mess here that's going to go in my numerator. Sine of x times sine of x is a negative sine squared of x. Cosine of x times cosine of x is cosine squared of x. I think that would look a little bit nicer if we put the positive term first, cosine squared of x, and then a minus sine squared of x up in the numerator right there after that. So that's where we are right now. And guys, I am perfectly fine with this as your final answer right here. I want to say two things though. One thing I would want you to worry about, anytime you see sine squared and cosine squared in the same expression, you should remember your basic Pythagorean trigonometric identity, that sine squared of any angle plus cosine squared of the same angle is always equal to 1. So anytime I see an expression with sine squared of x plus or minus cosine squared of x and or a 1 in there, I'm always thinking, can I make a substitution here to simplify that? Unfortunately, guys, you cannot get cosine squared minus sine squared out of this expression right over here. Now, if that were a plus, then yeah, we would cross all of this out and just make it a 1, and that would be a lot simpler. That would cost you a point if you could do that, but you forgot to do it. But as it were, oh, I don't know what I just hit. Uh-oh, wrong button right there. Sorry, I'm a million miles from home, guys. Didn't mean to hit that. Where were we here? There, 3-7, sorry. Let's see, this one right here. There it was. But as it were, you cannot do what we just did right there. Oh, and I lost my undo. Okay, so forget about that, and there you go. And all right, I better fix that. So that was cosine squared minus sine squared. Oh, man, everything reset right here. Darn it. All right, so where were we, guys? Cosine squared of x minus sine squared of x was up in your numerator. The other thing that's probably troubling a lot of you guys is that in the solutions manual, they did some work right here in terms of using a Pythagorean trig identity that you guys learned last year in pre-calc, and I am not going to require you to do that one this time around. Now that identity, guys, and it's one that I don't always remember that I need to look up right there, and they actually did some work early on right here, is that what? The sine of 2x, this is one of your double angle formulas right here, guys, is equal to 2 times the sine of x times the cosine of x. Now, they recognize that this quantity right here is just half of that. So they divided both sides here by 2, and they got this. They made that a 1/2 sine of 2x is equal to, and then those 2's canceled, a sine of x times a cosine of x. So they utilized that and put this 1/2 sine of 2x right in there. Obviously, you can do that, but in no way, shape, or form am I telling you guys that you have to. So I'm going to leave that out completely, and I'm just going to box this up right here and say, okay, I'm pretty happy with that answer right there for problem number 51.